this video, I will be performing physical examination of the abdomen. First, you need to introduce yourself and ask permission to the patient. Good morning, ma'am. Ako po si Dr. NATIVIDAD. Ano pong pangalan nila?
Yana Fernandez, Doc.
Okay, ako po ang doktor na mag-examine pa ng abdomen niyo or yung tiyan. Okay lang po ba sa inyo yun?
Okay lang, Doc.
Okay. The patient should be in a supine position. Then, you need to drape the patient and adequately expose the body parts that will be examined. And that will be from the xiphoid process until the level of the iliac crest. As the examiner, I will be on the right side of the patient. Unlike the other parts of the body, the abdomen has a different sequence of exam. First, inspection, followed by auscultation, palpation, percussion, and lastly, special exam. For inspection, we will only be using our sense of sight. But first, we need to get the abdominal circumference at the level of the umbilicus. As for my findings for my inspection, the abdominal circumference is 26 inches. The abdominal contour is flat, it is symmetrical, there are no localized bulging and masses. As for the skin, it is fair in complexion, there are no lesions, no discoloration, and as for tangential lighting, there are no superficial veins. The umbilicus is inverted, there are no discharge and no lesions, and also there are no visible pulsations and peristalsis. There are two sounds that we will be auscultating, the vowel sounds and the bruit. For the vowel sounds, we will be using the diaphragm. I will be auscultating on the 4 quadrants and concentrating on the right lower quadrant to take the vowel sounds for a 1 full minute. As for my auscultation, the vowel sounds is 25 cycles per minute. Next, we will be auscultating on the bruits, the abdominal aorta, the renal arteries, and the iliac arteries. And I will be using the bell. For the renal arteries, auscultated on the upper quadrants, right and left, on the mid-clavicular line. For the iliac arteries, again, auscultated on the mid-clavicular lines on the right and left lower quadrant. As for my auscultations, there are no bruits heard on the abdominal aorta, the renal arteries, and the iliac arteries, and also there are no friction rub heard on the right and left upper quadrant. For the palpation, I will first do the light and deep palpation. Ma'am, sabihin niyo po kung may masakit ha, tsaka kung uncomfortable po kayo.
Okay, Doc.
This will be the light palpation. Next will be the deep palpation. May masakit po ba?
Wala, Doc.
Next, we will elicit for the tenderness. Ma'am, sabihin niyo ko kung may masakit ha.
Okay, Doc.
May masakit po ba?
Wala.
May masakit po ba?
Wala.
As for my light and deep palpation, the abdomen is soft, there are no tenderness, there are no rigidity, and there are no superficial superficial masses palpated. Next, we will be palpating for the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, and the abdominal aorta. First, the liver. Ma'am, hinga po kayo ng malalim. Isa pa po, ma'am. Then, the spleen. Ma'am, hinga po ng malalim. Isa pa po, ma'am. Then, the kidneys. Ma'am, hinga pa ng malalim. Ma'am, hinga pa po ng malalim. Lastly, the abdominal aorta. Ma'am, hinga pa ng malalim. Isa pa po, ma'am. As for my palpation, the liver and the spleen is 1 finger breadth below the subcostal margin. The liver edge is firm, it is sharp with smooth surface and non-tender. As for the spleen and the kidneys, they are non-palpable, and the abdominal aorta, the width is symmetrical with normal pulsation. Okay, we will now do the percussion. I will percuss first the 4 quadrants of the abdomen. Generally, the abdomen is tympanic. Next, we will now see the liver dullness. For me to locate the liver dullness, I need to locate first the upper border and then the lower border. The upper border is located where the sound will be changing from resonant to dullness, and then for the lower border where the sound will be changing from tympanitic to dullness. I will start my percussion on the lower, below the nipple line. Ma'am, pakilagay lang po yung isang kamay niyo po dito. And then, for the lower border, I will start percussing from the level of the umbilicus. Ma'am, pakilagay lang po yung kamay niyo dito. Then, I will measure for it. Okay, pakitanggal lang po. The liver span is 7 centimeters. Next, I will percuss the spleen, specifically at the throat space. It is located on the mid-anterior axillary line, usually at the 9th rib. Okay, the throat space is tympanitic, and there is no splenomegaly or splenic dullness. Next, I will be doing fist percussion on the liver and spleen. I will also be checking the costovertebral angle tenderness of the left and right kidneys. Ma'am, pakisabi lang po kung may masakit habang ginagawa ko po yung procedure, ha? May masakit po?
Wala to.
Dito. May masakit po?
Wala to.
Dito. May masakit po ba?
Wala to.
Dito. May masakit po ba?
Wala to.
Okay. The patient has negative sign for fist percussion, or there is no tenderness upon fist percussion on the liver, the spleen, the right, and the left kidneys. There are also different special exams for the abdomen. To test for ascites, we will be doing fluid wave and shifting dullness. The principle of this is that when you have ascites, the liquid will sink with gravity, while the gas will rise up to the top. First, we will do the procedure of fluid wave. Ma'am, pakilagay lang po yung kamay niyo dito. And then, my left hand will be on the left flank, while I will be tapping on the right flank to check for fluid wave. Okay? For the procedure of shifting dullness, I will ask the patient to lie on my facing me, side lying. And then, I will percuss from top to bottom and note if there is a transfer of the dullness. As for my result, there is negative fluid wave and negative shifting dullness. Therefore, there is no ascites. To check for acute appendicitis, we will be checking on the 6 signs, which are the McBurney sign, Rovsing sign, Bloomberg sign, Merkel sign, SOA sign, and obturator sign. First, the McBurney sign. For the McBurney sign, we need to look for the landmarks, which is the umbilicus and the anterior superior iliac spine. Then we need to draw a line, and at the lower 2/3 of it, in here, we will be eliciting tenderness. Ma'am, pakisabi lang po pag pinalpate ko ng deep kung may masakit.
Dito.
May masakit po ba?
Wala.
Okay. And then, for the Bloomberg sign, again, we will need to elicit for tenderness, but not specifically on a specific location, but it is in the right lower quadrant. Ma'am, may masakit po ba?
Wala.
For Robsing sign, I will be eliciting again tenderness, but I will be putting pressure on the opposite side, which is the left lower quadrant. Ma'am, sabihin mo kung may masakit po ah.
Okay.
May na-feel ka po bang masakit? Okay. If for a positive Robsing sign, there will be a pain felt on the opposite side, which is the right lower quadrant, upon putting a pressure on the left lower quadrant. To check for Merkel sign, ask the patient to lift her body on a tiptoe and then bring back the body on the ground. Ma'am, tumiklay po kayo and then babadin po kayo. Ganun. Masakit po ba yung right lower quadrant niyo po?
Hindi po.
Okay, so the patient is negative for Merkel sign. To check for SOA sign, I will be asking the patient to raise her legs against my resistance and ask if there's a pain on the right lower quadrant. Ma'am, pakitaas lang po ito against my resistance and sabihin ko may pain dito, okay? May pain po ba?
Wala to.
Okay. For obturator sign, I will internally rotate the patient's leg and ask again if there's a pain on the right lower quadrant. Sabihin mo po kung may masakit dito po na banda, mama. May masakit po ba?
Wala to.
Okay. So, as for my result on the special examination for test for acute appendicitis, there is a negative for McBurney sign, Bloomberg sign, Robsing signs, SOA sign, obturator sign, and Merkel sign. To test for acute cholecystitis, I will be checking on Murphy's sign and Boas sign. So first, Murphy's sign. I will be asking the patient to exhale while I am palpating on the gallbladder located on the midclavicular line. Ma'am, hinga po kayo ng malalim ha. Okay. Okay, hinga po ng malalim. Okay. May masakit po ba?
Wala.
Okay. A positive sign indicates that there's a pain on the gallbladder area. Next, Boas sign. I will be percussing on the posterior area of the gallbladder and ask the patient if there's a pain while I'm percussing it. Ma'am, pakisabi kung may nararamdaman kayong sakit ha? May masakit po ba?
Wala to.
Okay. So, if there's a pain during percussion on the posterior area of the gallbladder, it indicates that there's a positive Boas sign. But for the patient, there's a negative Murphy's sign and negative Boas sign. That will be the end of the physical examination of the abdomen. I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you for watching, and again, salute to all the frontliners of the Philippines.